The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, welcome to our free training on Manage Engine Applications Manager. My name is Selvaraj and I will be the presenter for today's session. Hope you can see my screen and hear my voice well. Please confirm it by adding a comment in the chat panel. That's great. I got few confirmation. First of all, on behalf of Manage Engine Applications Manager, we wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year. The training is spread across 4 weeks and is scheduled to happen every Wednesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are now in week 2 of the schedule. Before we proceed, let's quickly recap the topics that were discussed in week 1. We started with application discovery and dependency mapping, monitor groups and how you can associate monitors into them, user management, different roles that you can make use of, and a video of last week's session is available in our training webpage for participants who missed it out. So please make a note of the link provided in this slide, and it will also be shared in the chat panel. In today's agenda, we will be seeing performance insight of what Application Manager is capable of, deep dive performance metric into each elements of application that we monitor in Applications Manager, troubleshoot performance problem by creating a threshold and associating them, how to automate them using corrective actions, finally, reports and dashboards. So let's first talk about the performance insight and what Application Manager is capable of. Application Manager is a single, integrated platform to monitor your entire application ecosystem, underlying infrastructure components such as application servers, database, big data technologies, middleware and messaging components, web server, web services, your ERP package, virtual system, and cloud apps. Application Manager is a web-based single install and database architecture. Hence, there's no need for IT operation to support multiple products. More importantly, it's agentless. We will be looking at the various applications that Application Manager can monitor. So Application Manager is one tool to monitor your 100+ apps, and we have categorized them based on their functionality. So starting with application server, which are designed to develop web services or applications, and in real time, the productivity and performance of such servers get affected due to failure of diagnosing any problem in the service or application running in that server. So in overall, we monitor the JVM, JDBC connection pool statistics, JMS, web app, thread, transaction, and request information. So application servers such as Tomcat, JBoss, IBM WebSphere, Oracle WebLogic, Oracle Application Server can be monitored in Applications Manager. The next category is your ERP servers. So SAP, Microsoft Dynamics CRM, Dynamics AX, your Oracle eBusiness Suite, Siebel server can be monitored in Applications Manager. So where we monitor the request connection, process statistics, background processing, buffer dialog, enqueue, spool, jobs, and server state of this ERP servers. The next category is Middleware Technologies. So all commercially available middleware such as IBM WebSphere MQ, WebSphere Message Broker, MS Office SharePoint, BizTalk, Link Server, and open source middleware such as Apache Kafka, ActiveMQ can be monitored in Applications Manager. Let me switch to our UI and take a couple of monitor that can be monitored in Applications Manager and show you the metrics that we show in Applications Manager. For example, Tomcat Server. If you see the Overview tab, we show the server response time, performance of the server, thread usage, class loading information, and apart from this, different metrics are categorized in sub-tabs such as memory, thread, JDBC, web application information are shown in Applications Manager. Let's take another monitor type as an example, Oracle E-Business Suite. So under Oracle E-Business, we show the request statistics, process statistics, and connection information. The next type or category of database server is that we monitor in Applications Manager, where Application Manager has the ability to connect to the database source, monitor various system table, column values, collect data, and show it in Applications Manager. So based on its functionality, we have categorized them into relational database and NoSQL database. Relational database such as Microsoft SQL Server, Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, NoSQL monitors such as Cassandra, Couchbase, MongoDB can be monitored in Applications Manager. So metrics like connection, buffer, log statistics, transaction details, DB size, and much more can be monitored under database servers. The next category is big data technology, where we monitor Hadoop and Apache Spark. So based on the metrics such as HDFS, MapReduce, job, application, master and worker nodes, memory and CPU utilization can be monitored for these types. The next category is servers. All Unix variant and Windows Server can be monitored in Applications Manager. Let's switch back to UI and see a couple of monitors and its metrics that we show in Applications Manager. For instance, let's take database server, Postgres. So under Postgres monitor information, we show the connection statistics, log statistics, buffer, disk usage detail, query statistics, and much more. Now under server category, let's take Windows Server as an example. So under Windows Monitor, we show the CPU, memory, disk utilization. We show swap memory utilization, and even we monitor process and service information from the server. Not only that, in case if you want to monitor the event log monitoring, we have an option to monitor your event logs generated from the Windows Server, and even we monitor scheduled tasks. The next category of monitor type is virtualization, where we monitor CPU, memory, storage, network information, and underlying virtual machine performance metrics we show in Applications Manager. The next category is cloud platform. So under cloud platform, we monitor Amazon, Microsoft Azure, and Office 365, OpenStack, where we monitor the EC2 instance, RDS, S3 bucket. Application Manager, Microsoft Azure Monitor enable user to discover virtual machines and monitor them. You can also monitor the health and performance of your Azure storage account. Let's switch back to the UI and take a couple of monitors, and let me show you the metrics that we show in Applications Manager. For instance, under Amazon, we show the RDS instances, EC2 instances, S3 bucket information, and under each category, you can click on the EC2 instance and get much more information, like what is the CPU utilization, what is the network traffic, disk input output statistics, and attached volume information. Another category I would like to talk about is the virtual machine ESX server. So where the ESX server, once added, it can discover the virtual machines that are running inside that ESX server. The capability to show the powered on and powered off statistics. Not only that, for ESX level, we show the CPU, memory, network, disk I/O statistics, and additional information. And for under each virtual machine, if I go ahead and click on any one of the virtual machine, we show the memory, data store, network, disk information for each virtual machines. Apart from this, if you want to configure or monitor services, process, or event log for that virtual machine, you can click on the monitor action and configure guest operating system. All right. So now, in Applications Manager, we have given an option for users to control how the data collection should happen. So for this, you can click on Admin tab, Performance Polling, and under Performance Polling, we have categorized based on the category like server, database server, ping monitor, your WebLogic, etc. So for example, let's click on Servers tab. And if you see the first option itself, it says Disk I/O Statistics Monitoring. So what it means is, if you want to monitor disk I/O statistics for the listed server type, you need to come and enable it here. Similarly, let's take another example, MS SQL Server. Under MS SQL Server, you can enable collecting data for MS SQL jobs, right? Even you can scroll down and choose metric that you want to monitor. Select that metric, for example, sessions, and I can have control of collecting the data. If I want to collect data in every polling, collect data in every hour, or collect data once in a day. Similarly, under optimized data collection, we have other monitor types which has been listed out. Say, for example, your Oracle database server. I can select the monitors via which I can select if I want to monitor the metrics on every polling interval or at customized time interval. So the next topic is troubleshooting performance problem and how we can achieve through Applications Manager. The common challenges faced by IT administrators are to identify the root cause for server crash, slow applications running, is there any memory leak, creating dependency, optimizing applications. These are all necessary for ideal infrastructure management. Here, Application Manager helps you to face these challenges by providing performance view of the applications that are being monitored. For example, in Application Manager UI under Bulk Configuration View, you can find the Performance tab where the hourly health information of the monitors are present. And if you click on the hourly data, you will be able to find the reason why the monitor was in critical state. Now, based on these data or report, what you can do is we can take out and create threshold. So in order to make sure that application provides you the necessary alerts, threshold has to be configured. The best practice for creating a viable threshold is to view the historical data of an attribute in the reports. Associating this threshold can be done for individual monitors or can be done using alarm template. Now, I will switch back to the UI and show you all these informations now. So first, let's take any monitor type. I'm going to click on Tomcat servers. And you can see the tab Availability, Performance, and List View. So when I click on the Performance, I can see how the used memory and average processing time of the Tomcat server that are performed. So here we have two Tomcat server, and you can see the two Tomcat server graph as well as the hourly reports. Based on this, you can click and verify why there is a critical alert and what is the average, minimum, or maximum value of the attribute that are listed. So based on this, it will help you out to decide if you what type of threshold you want to create. Now, the next step is to create threshold. You can click on Admin tab, Threshold and Anomalies under Alarm and Action, or you can click the sub-tab Threshold Profile, click New Threshold Profile. Here we have numeric value, string, and float. Float value is applicable only for APM Insight Monitor that we will cover in week 4 session. Most of the customer will use numeric or string. So let's take an example of numeric value. And here I have an option called Show Advanced Options. When I select this, I have 3 different severity. One is critical, warning, and clear. Now, I can give a name here, say CPU production utilization, and this is in percentage. I'm going to give a value stating that if it is greater than 90, I should get a critical alert. If it is greater than or equal to 85, I should get a warning alert. And if it is less than 80, I should get a clear alert. You might be wondering what this polls to try consecutive poll means. So when you give a value out here, it means application manager will retry and re-verify if the CPU utilization for the monitors where you have applied this threshold, it will re-verify that the attribute is actually down. Now, I want you guys to have a look in this threshold value and take a few moments, verify if this is correct or incorrect. Alright, those who think that this is incorrect, yes, you are right. This is an incorrect threshold. The reason is, if the server CPU utilization is greater than 90, yes, you will receive a critical alert. If it is between 85 and 90, you will receive a warning alert. What if the value is between 81 and 84? Application manager will not know what to do in this case. So when you create a threshold profile for whatever the attribute is, whether let it be a percentage or MB or millisecond or GB, whatever it is, make sure the range that you provide is correct. Now, let's go ahead and create a threshold profile. I've created one. So here I go. This is my CPU utilization in percentage value. So when you click on the threshold profile and view threshold profile, this will be the page which will be listed. If you want to have a quick look on the metrics that are being associated with the respective threshold, you can use this used by column. Click on the number. It will show you the monitor name, the attribute which is using this threshold. Not only that, on the right top, you can click on Threshold and Action Profile CSV. You can choose this option for monitors which do not have any threshold or action associated. So based on this report, an administrator will know the monitors where there is no action or threshold has been associated. Based on that, they can take corrective action and apply threshold and actions into that. Similarly, you can pull reports for monitor which are not associated to any monitor groups. So this is a CSV format. You can download and view this report. Now, as I stated, if you take any monitor, for instance, let me go ahead and take a Tomcat as an example. I can go to this monitor page, click on the configure alarm, options that we have, or on the right top, you can click on monitor actions and configure alarm. So this, you can do it individually for each monitor. What if you want to configure it globally? For that, we have an option called configure alarm templates, which personally I like the most. So click on the admin tab. Under alarm and action, click configure alarms. So here you can configure either by monitor or monitor group or monitor type. So here the category monitor is just similar to the one which we saw earlier, where you need to individually apply the threshold and action. Let's take monitor type now, and let me select a server type, say Windows 2012. So here, all the attribute, the main attribute and the sub attributes like code, disk IO statistics, your hardware statistics, process or service information will be listed out here. So if you want to associate a threshold, you can do it in bulk. So for example, let's click on associate beside CPU utilization. You can select the threshold that we have created. Select configure actions at attribute level. The actions that you have created will be on the left hand side. The one which you want to be associated for this monitor, you can select and move it on the right hand side. So if you only want to generate alert for critical severity, you can just enable or associate email action for that. If you want for all three severities, you can select and click on save. Now, before saving it, I want to talk about this option as well. So in case if you already have Windows 2012 monitors configured in Applications Manager, you can select this option and save. So what happens is, if you already have it, this particular threshold configuration and action configuration will get applied globally. Isn't it wonderful? Not only that, in case if you add another Windows 2012 server in future, this threshold will automatically get applied. All right. So the next is monitor group. Similar to monitor type, you can do with monitor group, but there is a slight difference. So when I click on monitor group template and select this Windows 2012 server, I've already associated CPU utilization and an email action here. Let's take another attribute, so block process. And when I select a block process threshold, so here let me select CPU utilization itself as an example. I can select this override in case if there is existing Windows 2012 server inside this group, we can go ahead and select and configure it. So configure action at attribute level, select it. Required email action or any other action that you have created can be moved to the left hand side and click on save. So what happens in this case is the monitor which are present inside this group, the template which we created will get applied. Now, if you add Windows 2012 without associating them to any group and later you move it to this monitor group, what happens is the group template will get associated automatically. Isn't it great? Now, similarly, if you want to deassociate the monitor threshold and action, you can click on the threshold detail, scroll down, and click delete and deassociate template configuration. So this will completely remove the threshold and action that has been configured for the CPU utilization attribute, which is present inside this group. All right. So the next topic is how to automate corrective actions. So we have categorized them based on their functionality. The first is the corrective actions, where we have provided certain action based upon the type it is. So virtual machine action, Amazon EC2 instance, execute mbin, Windows service action, Docker container action. So these are specific to these monitors alone. So wherein, for example, virtual machine action, you can start, stop, or restart the virtual machine. Windows service action, you can start, stop, or restart these services. right? Similarly, if you have a batch script or shell script which perform a certain task in your remote server, you can create executive correct program action. For instance, for virtual machine, if you see here, the host type can be selected based upon the virtual type that you have. If it is VMware, you can select it. If it is Hyper-V, you can choose, or Zenserve. Based on that, you can select the action type, whether you want to start the VM or restart the VM or stop the VM. The next category of action is notification action. So this is commonly used for the customers whom they are using the applications manager. So we have email and SMS notification, log a ticket action for Service Desk Plus and ServiceNow, and even we have an option where you can send trap from application manager to your third-party device. So when you create an email action, you need to provide the from address, to address, and if there are multiple recipients, you need to enter the address separated by commas. Now, let's switch back to the UI and see a couple of actions we can create and what is the use. Before we create an action, email action specifically, the important factor that we need to make sure is that SMTP server is configured. For this, click on the admin tab, connectivity. So under mail server, you can provide your SMTP server information. Under SMS server, in case if you have a physical modem, you can configure it here. Or otherwise, in case if you don't have SMS modem, but you have an email gateway which has been provided by your ISP, so sending an email to the gateway in turn will trigger an SMS to your mobile number, you can configure that. So you can create actions under admin, actions, or we have a sub-tab called actions, and from here also you can create different actions for your need. So let's take an example here. I've already created an email action, so let me just edit it and show you. So here is the detail, and if you, as I said earlier, if you want to provide a multiple receipt, you can give it separated by comma. Not only that, if you look closely at the subject and message, it is a very generic information, right? So if administrator wants to have a meaningful information, they can make use of replaceable tag. For instance, let's take monitor name. Monitor name as a replaceable tag, and its attribute is whether it's critical or severity. We need to, once the alert is generated, it will provide an information such that the monitor name, attribute, and the severity in the subject line. Similarly, you can provide other replaceable tag in message column 2. So the next topic we will be looking at is to how to prevent false alarm. So in case if the administrator knows that one of the network has some laggy, in that scenario, they can create and set certain feature that we have in Applications Manager to check for network availability, URL availability, and we have some feature called as consecutive pole counts, and you can also configure alarm rules for monitor groups. So let me switch back to the UI and show you that. So under admin tab, action and alarm settings, if I scroll down, I have consecutive pole count. Once you provide a value here, it will be taken for all the monitors. All right. So for example, if you give 2 out of 2, based on the polling interval of the monitor, application manager will wait for 2 poll interval. That is, for example, let's take a monitor has 5 minutes of polling interval. So 5 into 2, 10 minutes, application manager will wait before reporting the service as down or an attribute is critical. Apart from this, application manager has a feature called as downtime scheduler. So downtime scheduler is a planned outage which administrator can make use of, where they can create a downtime scheduler based on weekly, daily, or once. You can schedule selective monitors or monitor group based on the downtime scheduler. Based on the so far discussion, we have few questionnaires for you. So kindly have a look into the questions and try to answer. By the way, you can keep the answer by yourself. No need to put it in the chat panel. So take a few moments and answer these questions. Lovely. So here's the answer for the questionnaires. An important aspect of all management tasks is to analyze the trend over time and evaluate the performance. The analysis is also useful in making calculated predictions and taking corrective actions as when necessary. So these calculated predictions allow you to plan for any future impact on performance of various services. How this can be done? Through reports. That's our next topic. So reports and dashboard. We are going to see what all the different report types that we have and how we can configure dashboards. You can pull a raw data report for all the attributes that are monitored in Applications Manager and see how the trend is going on. The next report type is Capacity Planning Report, which will help the organization to balance the hardware cost with computing needs, wherein it will minimize the wastage of computing resources. So based on this, we show the oversized and undersized server based on CPU and memory utilization. So if a resource capacity is less than the threshold that you create, the machine is oversized. If a machine uses resource capacity more than the threshold that has been applied, the machine is undersized. Based on this, the management can take decision and plan accordingly. The next report, which I like the most, is the forecast reporting, which predict and plan the future disk utilization based upon the current trend of the disk utilization. So you can predict it for 1 month, 2 months, and how it's going to be for the 6 months. The next report that you can make use of is to schedule, right? So every manager or in IT administrator manager will look forward to have a weekly or monthly report. We have various set of reporting features that you can make use of and schedule it. You can send it as a PDF or CSV file, or you can publish it as a link. Now let's switch to the UI and see different reporting options that we have. So click on Reports tab. If I see, we have categorized it based upon the monitor group, trend analysis to identify the trend of each monitor that you have configured. We have categorized them based on servers, database servers, cloud apps, etc. So forecast report, for instance, let's take the forecast report of disk utilization. Let me just maximize it. And you can see here, I can check what will be the forecast report for disk utilization for 6 months. Not only that, you can use the filter by option to select top 10, 20, or all of your server. Even you can select the time period or custom time period as well. This can be downloaded in CSV format and make use of it. Okay. Before we talk about the reports, the important factor that we have to make sure is the enable report option, which is available on the right top corner or under admin tab under reporting, enable reports. So not all the metrics are enabled for reporting. So if IT administrator needs a report to be archived, they can come and enable it here. The next is schedule reports. So similarly, under admin tab, report settings, we have various data retention options that we have. So you can store hourly statistics, daily statistics, and traps that can be maintained for 5 hours. So again, clicking on admin tab, or on the left hand side, we can see the schedule report. And when I click here, here's the report type. I can choose what type of report that I need. So even you can schedule forecast report or dashboard report, or if you want to get the availability of the monitors, you can click on the availability and choose various options that we have provided. So the next option that we have in Application Manager is Business Hour. So it's a predetermined set of hours which will help you out to view the reports for a particular hour during the day. Not only that, this business hour can be utilized in email action as well, which means in case if you want to trigger an action between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., you can use this business hour option. The next important topic is dashboard. You can create your own custom dashboard and view in the tool. This can be published on your internal TV portal, share dashboard with the user as report as well. Now let's take or switch back to the UI and see various dashboards that we have. So when I click on the Home tab on the left top corner, I have the default dashboard which shows the infrastructure snapshot, monitor groups, recent 10 alarms, and other widgets that we have under it. I've created a dashboard for you. In case if you want to create your own dashboard, you can click on the arrow mark beside the Home tab. And under this, we can create new dashboards. And you can provide the name and select the widget that you need. So let me go back to the default dashboard that I created, which is this one. And here you can see the last 24 hours 30-day availability report. Let me just go ahead and edit this dashboard and show you the options that we have. You can select the monitor type. So here I have selected Cassandra. So only the Cassandra monitor type will be listed. You can select the time period as last 24 or last 30 days, and you can save it. So once you're done, Cassandra monitor types will be listed and its availability history will be shown here. The next widget is performance metric widget. If I go ahead and edit it, I have various options here. I can generate widget for single monitor or multiple monitor. For instance, I have selected the monitor type HTTP URL monitor, the monitors that I've configured, and the attribute. I've selected here the response time. That is why it shows one attribute. And we can select the time period. If you want raw data, that is show poll data, you can select it, or other time period you can select and show it. So once you click on save configuration, we show the details here, the monitor name, attribute, and its value. Similarly, we have current availability. When you click on the monitor, you have an option to select monitor type based on that, or you can select all monitor and then select, let me choose the monitors. So here I've selected a couple of monitors. So here you can, when I scroll down slowly, you can see the selected monitors, and I can click on save configuration. So the selected monitors will be listed here, and its availability and health will be shown. Not only that, if you just move mouse over to this availability severity, it will show the resource as up. Similarly, if you see the red one, the critical one, if I scroll mouse over it, it will show the root cause, why it is down, right? Similarly, you can create widget for monitor groups, all monitor groups, and it will show the availability and health. In case if you want to embed a web page from a your website or your internal application, you can edit this widget and give the URL link, and we will show the content of that web page. And here we have another widget called as recent 10 alarms, where the selected monitor type and its recent 10 alarms will be listed. Or even if you want to increase the number of alarms, you can select it and provide it here. And another widget is the topology map view, where you can create your map view based upon the monitors that you have selected and spread across the map that you create. and add the monitors. The next question in your mind will be, is it possible for us to publish this dashboard? Yes, you can do that. If I click on the actions on the right top, I have an option to publish this dashboard. You can make use of this Java code snippet into your intranet portal and show this information in the web page. Now, again, based upon the discussion so far, we have few questions for you. Please take your time and try to answer these. Great. Now let's see the answer. Here you go. Thank you. Now, let's have a quick recap of what we saw till time. So, we saw the performance metrics, various attributes that can be monitored in Applications Manager, how to create threshold and actions and associate them. We saw different actions, corrective actions that can be done. Finally, we saw reports and how to create dashboard. I'm going to transfer this call to one of my panelists who will answer your question and session. Before I leave, I kindly request you to rate your experience with a survey that you will receive at the end of the training session. So let me just pause the screen and pull out the questionnaires that we are going to ask. Thank you for your patience. Let me hand over this session to one of our panelists, Arun.
Thank you, Silva. Thank you, guys. So I hope you found this session useful. And I also appreciate you guys for sending us quite a few questions during this session. Let's just discuss some of the questions that were asked during this training session, and I'll give you some answers to the most frequently asked questions. All right, so since you have this option of setting polls to read write, I thought I'd start by explaining what a polling interval is. So basically, when you add a monitor, you define a poll interval for that monitor. That is the interval between which a monitor is accessed and the data of that monitor is collected. So that is basically a polling interval. And when you set polls to read write, it will wait for the number of polls that you have defined, and based on that, the alerts will be raised. All right, so The other question that was asked about the product is, should I install any agents to monitor the applications? Applications Manager is an monitor is an agentless monitoring tool, so you don't have to install agents for monitoring most of the applications. We do have an add-on called as APM Insight, which will require an add-on since it's an user transaction monitoring method. So for that specific monitor type alone, you would need an agent. More information on that monitor will be given in one of our future sessions, and you can get more information about it. All right. The next question is, when you actually publish a dashboard, will it be visible to the people who have received the publish without having to log into the Applications Manager product? And the answer is yes. You can access the published dashboard without having to log into the product. However, if you want to view more information about the monitors listed in the dashboard, you might have to log into the product. All right, so the next question is, can I add additional widgets to my dashboard? Yes, you can definitely add more widgets to your dashboard. Let me just show you an example of how to add a widget in the Applications Manager user product interface. So once you are in the Applications Manager product, you can decide to add the widget to any of your dashboard. All you need to do is click on the Actions option, then click on Add Widgets, and then just give me 1 minute. And then you can choose the dashboard of your choice and have it clicked on Add. This will add the widget into your dashboard, and you can choose the type of monitor or the monitor type that you would like to see in that widget. So this is a new widget that was added to the dashboard recently. Just like this, you can add as many widgets as you want into the dashboard to get your own business dashboard set up. So the next question is, can Applications Manager send alerts to third-party NMS or help desk tools? And the answer is yes. So in Applications Manager, as you might have seen from the previous session, there are various action options available in Applications Manager. One of them is to send a trap, that is an SNMP trap, that can be sent to the NMS tool that is within your environment to integrate it with the other alerts that you might have in your infrastructure. And as far as help desk is concerned, we do have an option to create tickets for Manage Engine, Service Desk Plus, and ServiceNow. However, for other tools, you can use the send email or send SMS option and use the option to create tickets within the tool with the email or SMS that it receives. All right, so and we saw about the scheduled reports option. So, and one of the questions asked was, can I schedule reports for individual performance metrics? And the answer to that is yes. You can schedule reports for individual metrics for individual monitors. Let me show the option to you. So you just go into admin and go into scheduled reports. You can just click on create a new schedule, and then you can choose the actual attribute that you need, and then you select the attribute type based on the monitor type, and then you just have the report scheduled either daily, weekly, or monthly as per your requirement. All right, and the next question that was asked is, can I customize the reports in Applications Manager? Yes, we do have a very limited customizable options for reports within Applications Manager. However, you have other options like extracting the data using REST API or using some database queries to extract the data within Applications Manager and use that data to create your own reports. And you can also associate them to some of your reporting or analytical tools to create your own reports that you might need. And one other question asked was, is there an option to monitor MariaDB in Applications Manager? MariaDB can be monitored in Applications Manager using the MySQL monitor type. So you can just choose that MySQL database monitor and provide your MariaDB information to monitor it. All right, and the next question that we received was, can we monitor our own custom applications within Applications Manager? And yes, that option is available and you can actually do it by different means. We have something called as a database query monitor, using which you can query for specific information into certain database servers and get the information. We have something called as a script monitor, which you can use to actually run your own batch Perl scripts to actually run on the necessary application servers or your servers and get the necessary performance metric that you will need. Or if it is a Java based application, you can choose to use the JMX applications monitor to look at specific mbeans of your choice and do the necessary monitoring as per your requirement. The next question that was asked is, what are the different search options that are available within Applications Manager? Within Applications Manager, you can search for monitors using different methods. You can search using monitor name. You can search using monitor type. You can search using IP address, or you can also search using some custom fields, as you can see in the in the UI that I'm showing you right now. The next, okay, before I ended, there were actually a couple of requests that we received. One was to show how to extract the threshold and actions profile CSV file, and the other was to see database query outputs in the dashboards. Let me see if, let me just show it to you in the product. Okay, so for extracting that threshold and action profiles CSV, you just need to go into the threshold profile option within your Applications Manager, then choose View Threshold Profiles, and within that you will actually find an option which says Threshold and Action Profile CSV. Here you can actually find a list of the associated thresholds and actions. And if you want to get a list of monitors that are not associated to any thresholds or actions, you can just select this and click on Create CSV, and you will get a list of monitors which do not have any thresholds or actions associated. So these are the different options available for you to know how much configurations you have done within your Applications Manager as far as alerting is concerned. And as for the database query monitor, this is one of the options. So the page that you see is actually from a database query monitor output. So this is the actual output of the query, and it is displayed in a widget, and it is currently in this dashboard. And if you want to publish it somewhere, you can use the publish dashboard option, and this widget will also be present in that dashboard, where you can find the output of the specific query that you're trying to run. This performance metric widget that you see here is another example of a database query monitor used to show database query output in a dashboard. So now it comes to the close of the different questions, commonly asked questions that we saw during this session. So before I end my session, let me just quickly brief you on the agenda for the next session. So in the next session, you will find information about our training about synthetic transaction monitoring. You will be able to understand user interactions through a site, and how to monitor across geographical location, and how to ensure optimal web performance. These are the topics that will be covered in our next session, which is on the 7th of February at 11:30 a.m. EST, that is US time. And if you have any further questions regarding the topics that were covered today, or topics that were done last week, you can always contact us at the email address eval-apm@manageengine.com. And also, the webinar will be open for another 10 or 15 minutes if you would like to ask more questions through the chat panel, and we'd be more than happy to answer your questions. And before I move away from the session, I would like to inform you that there will be an survey for to rate how the presentation was today, to rate the presentation as well as the presenter. Please leave your valuable feedback on it so that we can improve it in our future sessions. Thank you very much.